Have you ever imagined what growing up in the foster care system would have been like? Some people were not lucky enough to have foster parents that were good to them, but some were. The children who had bad foster parents usually didn't get the care they needed, which made life harder while growing up. Whether you did or did not grow up in one of these situations, you can only imagine how bad some foster parents are to some children. Let's start off by establishing what foster care is and the role of a foster parent. According to adopt.org, the foster care system is a temporary arrangement in which adults provide care for a child whose parents are unable to care for them. During the years of the child's life, foster parents are there to give them love and support to help them grow up into a responsible adult. Sometimes this is not the case, which is a huge issue in the child's development because some parents abuse them. So the question is, should they be allowed to foster children after being caught being abusive? It is hard to get cases about this issue because some children being abused are scared to confess about it. And they might have to go back into the foster system, so they don't want to confess about it. There have been some authority figures that have tried to get this bad thing noticed, but have a hard time getting the children willing to ask or tell them about it. There is one person, and her name is Wendy Rickman. According to youthtoday.org, Rickman is a high-ranking official in the State Child Welfare Agency who runs a division of Adult Children and Family Services for the Iowa Department of Health Services, or DHS. Why is she important? Well, she helped find children willing to talk about the struggles and the abuse that they experienced in their homes. This is shocking because most people cannot get these children to talk, but Rickman and the DHS did a very good job getting them to. They proceeded to pore over case records and ask former foster children about what happened to them while in the foster homes. For example, a study of foster children in Oregon and Washington State where they found nearly 1/3 had reported being abused by a foster parent or another adult. There's also studies of investigations of alleged abuse in New Jersey foster homes. And the researchers found lack of anything, so they couldn't do anything about it because there was no actual evidence of them getting abused. And then there was another study of cases in metropolitan Atlanta where they found that among children whose case goal was adoption, 34% had experienced abuse or neglect. And then people that just recently entered it, 15% of them were abused and neglected. It's crazy to think about how it happens more than it's reported. So most of the time the foster parents are not getting any punishment, which is a huge problem for those innocent children that are being abused. Which then lies the question, how should those who abuse these children get their punishment? Let's start off by talking about the known punishment that foster parents receive if they abuse children. According to adoption.org, the Division of Family and Child Services, DFCS, has a set of rules and many policies that foster parents are reminded of constantly. And they are held to a higher standard of care for these children because they're a ward of the state. With this being said, DFCS manuals forbids any physical punishment, so they can't spank these children or anything like that. But they end up doing it anyways and never get caught for it. So they could lose their license if they do get caught and never get to work with children ever again, like being a teacher or anything like that. So yes, this is good, but honestly, there needs to be stricter punishment for these people. There are laws placed according to criminaldefenselawyer.com that result in jail and prison sentences with child abuse convictions, which includes misdemeanor convictions of a year in jail and felony convictions that can easily result in sentences for 10 years in prison and probation after releasement. There was a case where a foster supervisor for the New York City Administration for Children's Services was arrested on charges of groping his 2 adult children, and then a misdemeanor was placed on his wife for letting this 6-year-old foster child get groped by a 13-year-old, and she never did anything about it. So this 6-year-old is basically scarred for life because of this, and then the mother never helped out. So then this leaves the question whether or not jail time is enough for any child abuser. So increasing the prison time to at least 20 years with an added mandatory group meeting 3 times a week with other former foster parents who did the same thing to talk about how wrong it is and why they felt abusing them was right will help them, because abusers were probably abused as children themselves, and this punishment will help them talk about what made them do it and provide help not to do it again. So ultimately, it helps them not abuse any more children and lets other foster parents know that there are stricter and harsher punishments via longer sentences and group therapy. Thank you.